What's up, guys? Wonder Rob here from Geek So To Speak podcast. What you're about to see is a portion, an excerpt of our latest episode of Geek So To Speak podcast, number 184, the 4th Annual Geeky Awards, where we're talking the best and worst in movies, TV show, and video games for 2021. This video, of course, is going to be all about video games, but you knew that already. You clicked on the video. You're not dumb. Thank you for joining us. If you want to check out the discussions on the best and worst movies in 2021 and the best and worst TV in 2021, just check out the other videos on this YouTube page, or you can find the full, unedited podcast, Geek So To Speak podcast. Again, episode number 184, the 4th Annual Geeky Awards, anywhere you get your podcast. Thanks so much for joining. That's enough chit chat, enough jibber jabber. Go ahead and take a second to like, subscribe, comment, do all the things, and then let's get to it.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. It's the return of Geek So To Speak with the 4th Annual Geeky Awards, the best and worst of 2021.
All right. So we're going to close out the Geeky Awards with the last and final category, the best and worst of video games this year. Now, we did review a handful of video games, but we've also played a lot of video games that weren't reviewed on the show, just like the movies, just like the TV shows. So we're just going to go down our list, starting with the top five, 5 to 1, and then we're going to come together with the worst games we played this year and see if we can come to a consensus on both. We're going to start with, you know what, let's start with Vactor. Vector will be number 1. I'll be number 2. Schaff will be number 3. And then Mark, because I think Mark hasn't played quite as many games as the rest of us, he'll be number 4. And then we'll just go that round. So, Vector, tell us, what was the 5th best video game you played in 2021 that came out in 2021?
Oh yeah. There was a little game that Robin Schaff played co-op called It Takes Two. And I have been playing it with Seasons Change co-host Jeff W., but we have not finished. It came out in March of 2021. I really liked their previous game. This is Haze Light's second title after A Way Out, which was the same thing. It was a co-op only game where you had to play with someone else to finish the story, but it was a prison breakout game, and it was innovative at the time. And so when It Takes Two came out, I was like, oh yeah, that's the same studio that did A Way Out. So I really liked the narrative that they did. I really liked all the puzzles, the co-op. Rob and I did co-op on Portal 2 back in the day, and that was one of my favorite video game experiences of all time. Puzzle games just lend themselves to co-op experiences with your friends. If somebody can't solve the puzzle, the other guy can step in. And so being able to play off your buddies is always fun. I liked the art style. Actually, Mark would like It Takes Two as well. So that was my number 5.
Excellent choice.
You know, it's funny. You mentioned It Takes Two, and they did like a prison break thing as well. And It Takes Two is about fixing your relationship. And I was laughing during your discussion only because I was thinking to myself, I wonder if the prison break is also about fixing your relationship in prison. Like, when you became someone's bitch.
Oh my God, we're starting off this segment right. That book is in all games that they make. It's just the talking book.
It's just really racially inappropriate book of love.
Oh man, except this time in prison, his arms and legs are not bookmarks, they're shivs. Oh my gosh. All right. So for me, my 5th game of the year, I got to tell you, first of all, that the movies list and the TV list was not a difficult list for me to make. I was able to put these together pretty easily. I spent a lot more time on my video games list because by far I played video games the most out of any entertainment medium this year. And I'm putting number 5, a little game called Back for Blood, but the number 4 is the word for. It's the spiritual successor for Left 4 Dead, everybody. Nice, fun co-op kill zombies game. If you check out our YouTube page, shout out to the Geek So To Speak YouTube page. You'll find plenty of Let's Plays, 11 in fact, if I remember correctly, where me and Vactor and Seasons Change co-host Jeff W. and friend of the show Songer, not good at video games, but we still love him, all playing Back for Blood. This game's great. It's a great co-op game. It's stressful, it's fun, it's frantic, and if you liked Left 4 Dead at all, you're gonna like Back for Blood. So I put Back for Blood as my number 5.
Yeah, I haven't played the game. I've only watched you play the game, but it is fun to watch someone play too.
It's that game is something, man. Especially if you don't know what you're doing. It's fantastic, and I love it. I love it. What about you, Shoff? Tell us, what was your fifth best game of 2021?
Fifth best game, also about killing the undead, but this one featuring a hot, very tall mummy named Lady Dimitrescu. Of course, the game I'm talking about is Resident Evil Village.
Where's your mouse pad? Where is it, Shoff? Show him the mouse pad.
It's somewhere.
It's somewhere hidden away.
I did actually have to hide it today because we had our nanny coming for the first time.
Oh boy! If
and
anybody
she was taking a tour, I was like, I'm gonna have to move this.
Shop has a very dirty mouse pad of Lady Domesticate. Everybody,
I'll get it. I'll get it in just a moment. Yeah, I'll get it. But yeah, this was a game that I never would have played if it had not been for Wonder Rob's basically making it's not really a bet per se, but a request that I play 8 hours of the game.
Yeah, wasn't it? I bought you the game under the request that I wanted 8 hours under your belt at least. Yes.
And neither of us had 8 hours completed by the time of our recording, but
yeah.
But we both committed to completing the game, and we both did beat the game. And it's one of the few games that I beat that came out in 2021. So, but I surprisingly really enjoyed it. The story was very interesting and twisted, and I had plenty of very legitimate scares and a lot of soiled panties. So
fantastic.
I threw out onto the balcony, onto the rooftop.
Yes, that's what you call a callback, ladies and gentlemen. All right, moving on to Mark. Mark, do you have a fifth best game of 2021 for us?
So, explanation for my top 5 are my fourth and fifth one, since I didn't play a lot of games, are going to be 2 favorite streams that I had that you and Shoff did.
Oh, I love it.
And then my top 3 will be the games that I actually played.
Okay, I'm ready for this. Little ego boost on my end. I like this.
So the fifth one is a tie of both you and Shoff individually playing Resident Evil Village, and watching you and your different experiences of how you experience the game, and your varied ways of getting either scared or not scared about what was happening on screen.
That's quality time. Yeah, it would be interesting, especially for the puzzles, watching Shoff tackle certain puzzles and how I tackled them and vice versa. Because we would solve the puzzles, but our heads like one of us is very left brain and one of us is very right brain. When it comes to these puzzles, and it was good. So yeah, good. I like your compromise on this segment, Mark.
Yeah, that's good.
Excellent. Okay, moving on. Vactor, what was your fourth best video game of 2021?
I am not a huge racing fan, but anytime there's a new Forza Horizon game, my ears perk up. I like the Horizon series better than just the regular Forza series because I'm much more of an arcade racer than simulation. But it always reminds me of Gotham City Racing, which was a Xbox title that I wish Microsoft would have kept going with because I love that series. I think they only came out with 2 Gotham City games, but I loved the credits that you got. It made you feel like you were getting achievements, XP, and you wanted to keep on going. But Forza Horizon is my current favorite racing series. So Forza Horizon 5 came out this year. As always, as every Forza Horizon game, it looked beautiful. This one is set in Mexico, which is kind of an interesting setting, but I love racing against other people's drivatars and you see the ghost of Rob driving around, and you're like, I'm gonna
That
beat him.
tricked me. 'Cause I thought you were playing with me. I thought I was for a second I thought you were in the game and I was like, "Vector, let's go." And I kept ramming your car.
Yeah. So I love the Horizon series, and Forza Horizon 5 is no different. It was a fantastic title and is my number 4 of the year.
Excellent. Excellent. Excellent choice. My number 4, I don't think it was an indie game. I think it started as an indie game and then sort of blew up. My number 4 was a little game called Death's Door
I knew that was going to be on your
this
list.
year, by Developer Digital. I don't know that I've played anything else by them, but it's a isometric top-down action RPG where you take control of this little crow and you are working for death. You're gathering souls and you're going through dungeons and you're solving puzzles. The art style is great. I think the writing is very clever. I don't want to say it's an unforgiving game, but it's definitely like it's a game that's going to put you through your paces a little bit. There is a let's play, a particular let's play on the YouTube page. I think I named it "I Hate You, Grandma" or
I was
something.
going to say, is it the grandma one?
Something where I was fighting the grandma boss and I must have died a dozen times before I beat that boss. And I got to tell you, it's those wins that feel good, good, good. I haven't beaten Death Story yet, but I have been going back and playing a little bit more. I just haven't been streaming them because I'm trying to keep a variety on the YouTube page. But I have been going back and playing Death Story a little bit at a time lately, and I'm still loving that game. It's great. Would recommend it. It's on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, PC. Get it. Death Store. It's a fantastic game. What about you, Shop? What's your number 4?
My number 4 is a Marvel based game. Also it's from Square Enix, but thankfully they got their shit together for this one. And I'm talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. This game was a lot of fun. I haven't beaten it, but I'm probably the furthest along out of any of us, unless somebody's gone back and played it more. But at the time of our last recording regarding it, I was well surpassing all y'all's progress. But
Wow, how's bragging camp going?
it's going pretty good. But the game is just a lot of fun. I love that they incorporate the music. You can tell this game is heavily inspired by James Gunn's iteration of Guardians of the Galaxy. But the storyline is very interesting. The fact that you only control Star-Lord is a unique take, but you are still, commanding and demanding your team through various team-based power abilities and things like that. But I just think it's a well-written game, and I'm really enjoying the campaign. So I'm looking forward to going back and completing it. But what I've seen so far, it definitely earns to be in the top 5.
Excellent. Excellent choice, if I do say so myself. Mark, what about you? What's your 4th favorite game, aka second, no, first favorite stream on the YouTube page?
That one is again you and Shoff, but playing together for It Takes Two.
Oh, yes, yes. Quite the competition
Yeah,
in that game.
yeah.
It was
I, I
good.
I I liked those. Those are always funny to watch though. So
Yes, shout
I
out
would,
to the It Takes Two on the YouTube page. All right.
yeah,
What?
subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's lots of stuff on there, everybody. Sheesh. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that very nice compliment, Mark. Uh, Vactor, what's your third best game of 2021, buddy?
Before I talk about my third best, I wanted to say real quick, Devolver Digital does a ton of indie. They publish a ton of indie games, and you would love, if you like Death's Door, you would love Enter the Gungeon, Exit the Gungeon, The Messenger, Katana Zero, and my favorite is Ape Out that they did. But they also published Fall Guys, which is a big hit.
Fall Guys is good.
Inscription, My Friend Pedro, and Loop Hero. But definitely Ape Out was my favorite.
Holy cow. Kudos to you for having all those titles in the back of your head.
Yeah.
I'll check them out. I'll check them out when I eventually beat Death's Door, one of these days.
Yeah.
All right, what you got for number 3?
My number 3 is one that Shaw finished. and that is Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite PlayStation game of the year. Um, I'm, a lot of my games that I play are cross-platform, and you can play them on anything. So there's not a lot that's like, okay, I have to have a PlayStation for this. There was no God of War. There was no Horizon Zero Dawn this year for me. Um, Returnal was okay, but it didn't make my top list. Ratchet and Clank is the game that I said I have to have a PlayStation for. I have to, actually have a system, a console. I loved the modern update of Ratchet and Clank. That's a series that I've really enjoyed over the years. And even going back to like the original PlayStation um, franchise, there was Sly Cooper and Ratchet and Clank and Jack and Dexter. Those were my favorite like original PlayStation titles. And then they had that Ratchet and Clank movie a couple
Oh
years
yeah,
ago, the animated movie,
forgot that
and it
was a
was the
thing.
same voice actor, James Arnold Taylor, who we all love as Obi-Wan in Clone Wars. But and Jennifer Hale, another one of my favorite voice actors in Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. She played the female Lombax, who I'm forgetting her name at the moment.
Rivet.
Yes, Rivet. But I just love the Ratchet and Clank, gathering all the different pieces and parts to it. And I like the story. It wasn't that long. A good game, overall experience. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Excellent. Excellent choice, Vector. I like it. My third best video game of the year, and man, I was shuffling this one up and down the list. I was having a hard time placing it, but it was definitely in my top five. A little game called Guardians of the Galaxy by
Oh.
Square Enix. That's a great game. uh, I I didn't really have super big expectations for it when it was announced because, well, I played the Avengers game, and I think I labeled that worst game of 2020 if I
Yeah.
remember correctly. So I went in cautiously optimistic in this game, and it's great, man. Like the writing is fantastic. It's very funny. The combat, although it does take a minute to sort of get into it, I think it's pretty well implemented. A well implemented workaround for getting to control all of the Guardians team while only controlling Peter. And the music's great. The graphics, the game's pretty. It's Jeff's kiss. Ugh. And it has the record for most copyright strikes I've received on our YouTube page. One video receiving 4, and not even YouTube not even willing to show it. Being
Oh
blocked
wow.
in all territories, and I had to edit it to fix it.
Dang.
I don't remember which video it was, but I was blown away. So if and when I continue streaming that game, I'm gonna have to put streamer mode on. But I don't really want to because I feel like the music is part of what makes that game. But
Yeah, it would be a totally different game without those moments.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's fantastic. I've really loved Guardians of the Galaxy, so that was my number 3 this year. What about you, Shaf? What's your number 3?
My number 3 is the same as Vactor. I put Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Yeah, I just beating that game just the other day. And I could have beaten it sooner, but I wanted to max out some of my weapons, and I'm so glad I did because it made it that much more fun. When you really spend the time on leveling up and upgrading these weapons in the game, it they open up so many other abilities. They're really like fun, wild weapons, stuff you would never see in other games. And it's just it's all about the combination of like, what are you going to use here? What are you going to use here? Are you far away? You can use a sniper rifle. Are you going to use a rocket launcher? Are you going to use some kind of remote bomb or use this cool sprinkler that turns everybody into plants? Like, there's just so much about this game that's a lot of fun, and I love the fact of all these rifts that you're going through. I loved how fluid the traversal is in this game. That's one of the most fun things, especially when you're on the rails. There's so many great moments, very cinematic. So, and I feel like it's one of the best titles to show what the PS5 is capable of so far. And for that reason and many others, it's my number 3.
I'll accept every reason you just said. Acceptable. Thank you, Shop. All right, getting into games Mark played. I want to hear Mark's third best game of 2021.
So for my number three, I had told my son if they had ever added these two specific characters to this game as skins that you could use in it, that I would finally play it, and they did. So when they added both Superman and Spider-Man to this game this year, I started playing Fortnite with. Uh,
Now,
uh,
correct me if I'm wrong. Fortnite came out in 2017, I
No,
think.
yeah,
you Fortnite is qualifies because of the chapters. It's a
Okay,
new
all right.
game
I'll
per
accept
chapter.
it then. All right. Okay.
yeah, the different chapters that came out this year that had both Superman and then Spider-Man more recently. Uh, I've enjoyed playing with each of you at different times, or all of you at the same time, and maybe not as often as our friend Ben,
Yeah.
or I may not have spent as much money on skins again like our friend Ben, but yeah, I've been enjoying it, and when I do get the chance to play, I like playing the most with any of you or with my son.
I like to play.
I
I
like
was
to
gonna
play.
say that. He took it. The new guy, he took it. All right, all right. Excellent choice. I'll accept. I'll accept your number three, Mark. But you know what's better than number three? Number two. Vactor, what's your second best game of 2021?
It is a game that I guest hosted the Geek So To Speak podcast all about. I came on and talked Halo Infinite, the return to the Halo franchise, a franchise that means so much to me in my history of video gaming and my history of podcasting, as I talked about on the episode. So if you want the full rundown, you can listen to that episode. But I've been playing a little bit more of the campaign. I still haven't beat it yet just because I had a little break in between where I had to go to Texas and visit family, and I didn't get a chance to play it as much over there. But it's also trying to figure out, all right, how much multiplayer am I going to play? How much campaign am I going to play? Going back and forth because they're both fun, but I haven't had a chance to fully complete the campaign yet. So, Halo Infinite is a very good modern update of Halo. But I do also want to point out that a lot of the storyline has just been kind of the Force Awakens of Halo, where it's like, all right, we're going to redo the exact same story beats. We're going to have the exact same characters, but they're older now. Master Chief's just a little bit grumpier. He's Han Solo. And creatively, I don't think Halo Infinite is the best of the franchise. I don't think it's doing anything new, but it's a lot of fun. You know, it's that repeat 30 seconds of fun over and
Mm-hmm.
over again. And with updated graphics, with updated kind of engines that they have on Halo. So I really enjoyed Halo Infinite. It's one of those games that I play every week, along with Fortnite. I play Halo Infinite every week.
Excellent. Do you think you'll be playing it infinite definitely?
I don't think so. I think when the next Halo comes out, I'll switch over to that one.
There you go. Good answer. All right, my number two is a little game called Resident Evil Village. I loved Resident Evil Village. I love Lady Dimitri. Step on me, mommy. I Resident Evil's been one of my favorite series for a long time. I've played almost every single Resident Evil. I look forward to everyone coming out. While this game was not as scary, in my opinion, as Resident Evil 7, which came out a couple years before, which we're still trying to convince Shoff to play, but he hasn't committed
Well,
to
the
that
fact that
yet.
you say it's scarier does not help.
It's scarier.
Does
Uh,
not help.
I think the horror drops off in Resident Evil Village about halfway through the game when you're chasing the fish brother and then you're going through the Heisenberg's area. Then it's starting to turn more into like just an action shooter, and it's starting to get a little less scary. But up until that, like Lady Demiscure, however you say her name, was one thing, but getting into the house with the lady with the dolls and that dang baby crawling
Yeah.
around the hallways, that was some next level shit in horror video games. So it really started tall and then just sort of went down from there, but I still enjoyed it. So that's why for me Resident Evil Village is my number 2. What about you, Shaw?
Well, there's a game that I started playing again after having a pretty substantial break from it. I was pretty addicted to this game. And then I just stopped cold turkey. But now I'm back. I'm back to it. I played it. And I got to tell you, I was immediately hooked back again. And the game I'm talking about is no, I'm just kidding. Not
Oh
World of
no.
Warcraft. Nah, I got you guys. No, it's Fortnite. It's definitely Fortnite. I think what makes Fortnite so fun personally is when you play with your buddies. When you get the squad together, it is such an enjoyable game. And it's such a simple concept, but I just appreciate it every time I play it. And I enjoy the dynamics of playing it with friend of the show Ben Songer, or Wonder Rob when we play together, or Mark when we just played more recently, and Vactor. I love when all of us get together. I wish there was a way to have a team bigger than 4.
Talk to Mark Zuckerberg? I don't know. I don't know who's in
Yeah,
charge.
that part bugs me because we have such a great group. It'd be amazing if all of us could really be together. But that being said, I'm really enjoying Fortnite. I definitely have spent way too much money on Fortnite, but I'm loving it.
Ba da ba ba ba. Shop's loving it. Okay. Mark, what was your second best game of 2021?
My number 2 game for 2021 was Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I'm about halfway through the game, and for all the same reasons that Vector said and Schaff said are the reasons I love that game. I played I want to say I played like the first game. I rented it like way back in the day when I worked at Blockbuster, and beat the game within the week that I had rented it. um, and then I've just been a fan of the series since then. So I just really liked Ratchet and Clank. So, but yeah.
Hey, I like it. I
Yeah.
like where your head's at. Excellent choice. Okay, so that means it's time for our number 1 video games of 2021. The suspense is killing me. Vactor, tell me, what was the best game you played in 2021?
Best game that I played in 2020,
He's getting tired. It's late.
a little 2020 was Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. And I
Woo!
do want to point out to Mr. Wonder Rob,
Mhm.
I know that Marvel's Avengers got you not anticipating Guardians of the Galaxy,
Mhm.
but Avengers was only published by Square Enix. It was not developed by the same studio. Eidos
Mhm.
Montreal did Guardians of the Galaxy, and the trailer I think is what left me kind of wanting more. When they first put out that trailer, I was not anticipating it, but once we actually got the game itself, I was all aboard. And much like Wonder Rob, I'm into narrative driven games. Multiplayer games are fun. That's what I play every week. But the narrative, story driven games are my bread and butter. And that's what I like more than anything else. That's what obviously the first things we did when we played video games was like the narrative, playing Zelda, playing Mario, playing the games that we want to finish it. We want to get to the end. We care for these characters. And so Guardians of the Galaxy is just in that long line and tradition of action adventure games, loving the characters. All the voice acting is great. And I have not finished it yet, but I've been told that by multiple people it is a fantastic Gamora story. So I'm interested where it ends up going, but I just have not had a chance to finish it yet.
Excellent. I love your pick for number one. Like I said, Guardians of the Galaxy, I was having a hard time placing it on my list because it was so high up, but there were so many good games this year. For me, my number one game of 2021 is a little game called It Takes Two. Ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, it's a little game called It Takes Two because it had everything that I like. Now, I do prefer, just like Vactor, generally speaking, more often than not, single player narrative story driven games are my bread and butter. But I don't dislike playing games with my friends. I'm not the world's biggest Fortnite fan, but every once in a while that's all right. I play Halo with Vactor and a friend of the show Jeff W. Fantastic. I'm having a good time, but it's not what I crave. But it's like it Takes Two is like taking peanut butter and taking chocolate and putting them together and making a Reese's Pieces peanut butter cup, arguably
Yes.
the best snack there is. And I played it with my best video game partner in crime when it comes to It Takes Two because he hasn't played me with Halo or anything else like that yet, so he doesn't get the title yet. But but I played it with Shoff. We beat the game. It's all on the YouTube page if you're curious to check it out. But man, that game was great. I really loved how you can play the game as it's meant to be played, tackling all these different puzzles, but there's so much extra. Shaf and I, what did we waste like 45 minutes playing chess one time?
Yeah.
And, like tug of war, like shooting darts. Like there's so many mini games in that where you can just get thrown off the beaten path and just have tons of fun, and you're like, no, I have to keep playing it, no, one more try, I know I can beat you in this. Like it's just stuff like that, man. It really made the game for me. It was funny, it was great, it really makes me want to play that prison game that Vactor was talking about. And I think that
A
should
Way
be,
Out.
yes, A Way Out should be me and Shoff's next co-op stream on the
Yeah, that
YouTube
sounds
page,
fun.
if you ask me. But that's why I'm giving my number one game of the year to It Takes Two.
All
What about
right.
you, Shoff?
My number one game of the year also requires a best friend to play it with because it takes two. Yeah, I loved It Takes Two. Um, and I'm not influenced by the Game Awards. Now, anybody who follows the Game Awards knows that It Takes Two did win Best
Factor
Game of the
knows
Year.
that. Factor knows that. Look at his faces.
But even if it didn't, I still would think it's Game of the Year. This game was everything. It was every type of game all rolled into one. It did an amazing job of creating this narrative of this divorced couple or almost divorced couple, and you really start to feel like that sense of animosity towards each other because some of the puzzles would get a little bit frustrating. Maybe you'd be playing and it was more platforming, but you'd have somebody controlling the platforms you were on. Like there were plenty of things that would happen that would either make or break your relationship with the person you're playing with.
Oh, you're saying I was a bad partner in
No, I'm
this
saying you
game,
were a great
Shoff?
partner.
Oh, okay,
You
good,
were
good,
an
good, good, good.
excellent partner. But I could see how if you didn't pick the right person to play with, this game could get really frustrating, which would just play really into the angle of two people who are in a relationship and are struggling to make it work. So I think they really nailed it with that. And then you take the idea of it being cooperative, but then you throw in a bunch of competitive games within it as little side stuff, and it just helps to keep that sense of competition, that sense of rivalry together. And so good. Voice acting is a lot of fun. We laughed a ton during all of our streams, and definitely among my most favorite video game experiences ever playing this game with you.
Excellent. Oh,
So
I take that. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you,
so
Manny.
it takes two. Number one for me.
All right. It's all coming down to Mark. Mark, what was your best game of 2021, buddy?
Yeah. The person that played the least amount of video games, it comes down
Yes.
to me to control the video game section.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So I'm gonna agree with Vector, and my number one is also Guardians of the Galaxy. So we have another
Oh,
tie. Uh, but
fantastic.
but yeah, for all the same reasons you guys enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy, the music, the narrative, story of it, the gameplay, I liked all that, and it is a very pretty game, and I like all the little Easter eggs and stuff that you can find in the game as well.
I love it. I love it. Excellent, excellent. Okay,
Yes.
so there we have it, everybody. Our list: Vactor coming in with Guardians of the Galaxy, Mark coming in with Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy is number 3 on my list, and Guardians of the Galaxy is number 4 on Schaff's list. It Takes Two number 1 for me and Schaff, and It Takes Two number 3 for Vactor, and not even mentioned for Mark. So I think it might be going to GOTG. What do you think, Schaff?
Um,
What do you think?
you think it's going to GOTG?
They're tied. No, GOTG has more mentions than It Takes Two does.
You're right. You are right. No,
Well, I
that's
mentioned
not
It
true.
Takes Two
Actually,
for your
Mark mentions it in
stream.
the streams. It takes 2 streams.
Oh, that's right. So
So it's still a tie.
it's still a tie. Okay, disembodied voice, take it away.
And the geeky goes to It's a Tie. It Takes Two and Guardians of the Galaxy.
All right, best games of the year according to Geek So To Speak: Guardians of the Galaxy and It Takes Two. Fantastic. All right, Vactor, real quick. I know you got a list of. Wake up, Vactor. He's asleep over there. For anybody who's listening to the audio podcast, uh, Vactor, I know you got a list of runners up. Hit us with it.
I do not
Oh,
have a list of runners up.
Vactor. Man, okay. All right. Then we're going to finish up, last but not least, with the worst games or biggest disappointments of 2021 for us. And we'll start with Vactor again. What was your least favorite game you played this year?
Well, unfortunately, this is a game that Wonder Rob streamed, and it's also kind of a narrative based game. It's a puzzle game, but the twist of the game was so bad.
I know what you're talking about.
It completely, like, I was anticipating this game. I was hot on the heels of it, and then when I found out that twist, it went completely down the toilet for me, and that was 12 minutes.
Oh,
Oh,
I
man.
was so disappointed by that
12
twist.
minutes.
I almost put 12 minutes on my best of list just to spite Shop. It was it was but I was like, nah, I gotta do me on this one. 12 minutes. Interesting choice. Interesting choice. All right. I don't necessarily agree with it. I think the overall game is better than the twist, because I do think the twist is kind of dumb. But I still liked the overall premise.
I don't even know what the twist is.
Oh, well, lucky for you, it's on YouTube, buddy.
I'll
All
check it
right. My worst game of 2021 was a game I was looking forward to, actually. A little game called Resident Evil 4 VR on the Oculus. Let me tell you something. A lot of people are hyped on this game. I couldn't have been more disappointed. I think that game does not work in VR, especially hot off the heels of the best VR game, Half-Life Alyx. It's like
Ooh.
night and day. It's like I went and watched Spider-Man Homecoming, and then I came home and watched Japanese Spider-Man. Like it's night and day. So I'm giving Resident Evil 4 VR on the Oculus my worst game of 2021.
Oh, all right.
What about
Well,
you, Shafi?
the worst and the biggest disappointment for me of 2021 is Boyfriend Dungeon. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't play that game. I was really looking forward to Boyfriend Dungeon. It just did not
That
work out
game's
for
not
me.
bad. I don't think that game's bad if you like roguelikes, but it's
No,
not for everybody.
some of you might think I would put Deathloop, but you'd be wrong. I also don't think that that's the worst game. It's not my favorite game, but it's definitely not the worst game. I think the worst game, the most infuriating game of 2021, the one that makes you just want to throw your gaming laptop out the window, is 12 minutes.
Oh my god, no. 12 minutes. Gonna die.
That game was so frustrating. Like, the concept was cool, but when you kind of reached like an impasse and you weren't able to like figure out any like different outcomes, the game is just obnoxious at that point. It's not even fun to play because you know you just have to keep going through this rigmarole nonstop over and over again. You hear the same dialogue tree, nothing changes. It is awful. And it probably, that's what it would feel like if you were stuck in a loop like that too. You would go fucking crazy. And that's what I was feeling in front of my computer. So 12 minutes, big disappointment.
Wow. Okay. All right. Okay. Mark, it's all coming down to you. What was your least favorite game, or do you have a least favorite game, or is it a stream?
So for this, like the game itself didn't come out this year, but the addition to the game that was a disappointment came out this year. And after it had been hyped up for such a long time and was one of the main selling points of the game before it came out, was Spider-Man in the Marvel's Avengers
Oh,
game,
yes.
where he was added to it, but then like every other character they added to it doesn't even actually have like a story mission in the game. So there's not even like a separate thing you do with him. He just gets thrown into being like another character you can play with. And then it's hard not to also compare his web swinging to the Insomniac game, or even in Fortnite with
Yeah, Fortnite kicks
the
its
web
ass.
swinging and that. So I would say, I know the game itself didn't come out this past year, but him joining the game finally came out this past year. So I would say that would be my biggest disappointment.
I think it counts. If we're counting Fortnite chapters, we can count DLC
Yeah,
for
totally.
for
Yeah.
Avengers. All right, there you have it. Well, I begrudgingly, I think the consensus is clear on the worst game of 2021. Although I do not agree with it personally, but
I do.
disembodied voice, take it away.
And the geeky goes to 12 minutes.
Oh man, we're gonna have to send the developers like a letter or something to let them know. All right, well that's it. That's it, everybody. The fourth
Hey,
annual
hey,
Geeky Awards.
hey,
Yay!
hey.
Hey!